They thought they were safe. Russian warships, inside Russian waters, untouchable. That's what the Kremlin believed. Until at 4:31 a.m., the sky over a quiet northern lake turned into fire. Ukraine had just done the unthinkable, struck a Russian warship almost 1,000 kilometers inside Russia. No warning, no radio call, just a direct hit. And the message was clear. Nowhere is safe anymore. October 4th, 2025. Lake Onega, a vast, icy body of water surrounded by quiet forests in the Republic of Karelia, a place far from the front lines. There, sailing calmly, was one of Russia's newest missile ships, the Grad, hull number 575, a Buyan M-class missile cruiser armed with Caliber cruise missiles, Onyx anti-ship weapons, and rapid-fire cannons. Its mission? Transfer from the Baltic to the Caspian Sea. A simple voyage. But that morning the calm shattered. At 4:31 a.m., a bright streak crossed the sky. Moments later, the stun impact. The missile slammed into the ship's right engine compartment. Flames, smoke, chaos. In a lake Russia never thought could be touched. That's how Ukraine's Special Operations Forces announced it. A short, precise telegram post. As a result of successful actions by one of the units of the Special Operations Forces, the small missile ship Grad was hit in Lake Onega. Nothing more, no video, no confirmation photo, just a quiet statement that shook every Russian commander. Lake Onega isn't near the battlefield. It's 1,000 kilometers, about 620 miles, from the nearest Ukrainian border. To put that in perspective, that's like Ukraine hitting a target inside Finland's latitude. Until that day, such a strike seemed impossible. But Ukraine has been extending its reach for months, first hitting refineries, then air bases, and now moving ships. A ship that could maneuver, dodge, and defend itself, hit cleanly, deep inside Russian territory. Something had changed in the balance of power. Let's be clear. Striking a refinery is one thing. It's huge, static, and burns easily. But a warship, a Buyan M, is built to survive explosions, to outmaneuver missiles, to defend against air threats. Yet the Grad was moving, and it still couldn't escape. Whatever weapon Ukraine used, it was accurate enough to track a vessel mid-voyage and strike its vital systems. That takes more than luck. It takes precision guidance, long-range reach, and nerve. Why target a ship on its way to the Caspian Sea, far from the war zone? Because sometimes victory isn't about destroying a threat. It's about sending a message. In August 2024, Ukraine had tested a similar concept, hitting the cargo ship Port Olya 4, around 640 kilometers away. That strike only caused minor damage. But maybe it was a test. Maybe it proved that deep strike missions inside Russia were possible. 2 months later, they refined the technique, and the Grad paid the price. The message? Your Navy isn't safe. Not in the Black Sea, not in the Baltic, not even in your own lakes. Ukraine isn't saying, and that silence is as strategic as the strike itself. The less Russia knows, the longer it takes to defend. But analysts are guessing. There are two main suspects: drones and missiles. The drone theory. Ukraine's drone industry has exploded since 2023. 10 companies now produce long-range UAVs capable of flying 1,000 kilometers or more. One of them, the UJ-26 Beaver, has already struck Moscow and beyond. It flies low with a sleek, jet-like design and carries a 20-kilo payload. Not huge, but enough to cripple an engine bay. Then there's the Lyut, Ukraine's answer to the Shahed. Range, 1,000 kilometers and rising. Payload up to 80 kilos. Cost, around 200,000. For comparison, the Grad cost Russia $70 million to build. If Lyut took it down, that's a 350 times return on investment. The missile theory. The other possibility, the Long Neptune, an evolution of the R-360 Neptune missile that sank the Moskva in 2022. Long Neptune boasts a range of 1,000 to 3,000 kilometers. While designed for land targets, its DNA is anti-ship. If that system has been modified again, Ukraine may have just used it for its first inland naval kill. There's also whispers of a new hybrid weapon, the Flamingo, a drone missile cross capable of 3,000 kilomotors and a 1-ton warhead. But using it on a single ship seems unlikely. So the smart money is on a drone strike. Either way, the SSO isn't talking, and that's exactly how they like it. When Ukraine hit the Moskva in 2022, it was a symbolic victory. But the Grad is different. It represents Russia's future fleet, commissioned in late 2022, built under sanctions, outfitted with modern missiles. One of just a dozen Bayan-M ships still in service. And most importantly, its Caliber NK missile system could strike Odessa from the Caspian Sea. Each missile carries a 450 kilo warhead and can travel 2,500 kilometers. Some versions are believed to be nuclear capable. That's why Ukraine chose this target, not just to damage hardware, but to neutralize a potential nuclear platform. Here's where the real damage lies. Not in the lake, but in Russia's factories. Western sanctions have crushed the supply chain for marine engines and electronics. On August 15, 2025, Rosmorport had to cancel a $200 million contract for 2 icebreakers at the Onega shipbuilding plant, the same region where the Grad was hit. Why? No parts, no progress, no money. Another yard, Khabarovsk shipbuilding plant, laid off 70% of its staff. Just 90 workers remain. No new orders, no funds, no hope. So when Ukraine destroys a modern ship, it's not just a loss of metal. It's a blow to a crippled industry that can't replace it. Every strike like this forces Russia to move its fleet further from danger. After Ukraine wrecked a third of the Black Sea fleet, most remaining ships retreated to safe ports like Novorossiysk, or so they thought. Now they see what safe really means. If a ship in Lake Onega can be hit, then no harbor is safe. Russia may be forced to hide its navy behind distance, but distance doesn't guarantee safety anymore. Ukraine's strategy is simple. Use drones instead of ships. Use brains instead of brute force. Drain Russia's resources faster than it can rebuild. This is asymmetric warfare at its finest. Ukraine's defense budget is tiny compared to Russia's, but each precision strike multiplies impact. One 200K drone can sink a $70 million ship. One strike can cut 20% of Russia's refining capacity. One night can turn a superpower's propaganda into panic. The message to NATO and the world: smart, cheap, adaptive systems beat old industrial might. The strike also undermines confidence. If Ukraine can reach Karelia, what's stopping it from reaching Moscow again? Every Russian admiral now has to ask, am I being watched right now? Fear of the unknown can paralyze command decisions more than bombs can. And while the Kremlin tries to downplay the damage, analysts notice the silence. No official video, no confirmation photo, just tight-lipped reports of a technical incident. Exactly how you describe a humiliation you can't deny. This strike wasn't random. It's a preview of Ukraine's next phase: deep reach deterrence. For 2 years, the focus was defense. Now it's projection. If Russia can no longer predict where Ukraine can hit, its strategy crumbles. Expect to see more targets: fuel depots in Siberia, communication nodes in Murmansk, shipyards in St. Petersburg. Anything within Shellon 300 kilometers is on the table. Western intelligence is taking notes. Ukraine is building a blueprint for 21st century warfare: low cost, high range, and psychological impact. For NATO, it's proof that autonomous drone fleets can replace billion-dollar ships in certain roles. For Russia, it's proof that sanctions work, not just economically, but militarily. Every strike like the Grad reduces Russia's capacity to project power for years. Let's break it down. Cost of Grad, $70 million. Estimated cost of Ukrainian drone, 200,000. Ratio, 350 to 1. Black Sea Fleet losses, 33%. Russia's refining capacity lost since spring 2025, 40%. These aren't just statistics. They're proof that Ukraine's smaller budget is delivering bigger results. The strike on the Grad didn't happen alone. That same night, Ukraine hit the Kyryshneftyorg-Syntez oil refinery in Leningrad region, one of Russia's largest. It also took out a launcher vehicle for Iskander missiles in Kursk. 3 targets, 3 regions, one night. Coordinated, calculated, devastating. This is no longer a war of trenches. It's a war of reach and precision, because every modern military is watching. This strike is a case study in how technology flips the balance of power. It's not just Ukraine versus Russia anymore. It's the dawn of new warfare. Big navies depend on expensive ships and years of construction, but a small country with drones can destroy them in hours. The next conflicts in the Pacific, the Arctic, the Middle East will use this playbook. Ukraine just wrote it. There's poetic irony here. The ship was named after Grad, meaning hailstorm, but it was the one that faced the storm. And it happened in Lake Onega, named after the same region where Russia's shipbuilding industry is collapsing. The lake that was supposed to protect Russia's future fleet is now a graveyard for one of its newest ships. History has a dark sense of humor. The phrase defenseless fleet sounds absurd until you look closer. Russia's ships have missiles that can hit cities, but no defense against small, cheap, fast targets from above. Its air defenses are designed for cruise missiles, not low-altitude drones that hug terrain. So when Ukraine launches dozens of autonomous UAVs, each costing less than a single missile, Russia can't intercept them all. It's like swatting flies with a sledgehammer, expensive and ineffective. In the span of a few years, Ukraine has gone from a landlocked defender to a nation capably striking inside one of the world's largest countries. No aircraft carriers, no heavy bombers, just ingenuity, coding, and persistence. That's what scares Russia most. Not the hardware, but the mindset. A country that refuses to play by old rules. The destruction of the Grad carries 5 lessons every strategist should remember. Distance doesn't equal safety. Technology beats tradition. Flexibility outpaces firepower. Information warfare amplifies physical impact. Psychology is a weapon. Every future Navy will rethink its doctrine because of this single event. So what happens next? Russia will deny, deflect, and probably vow revenge. Ukraine will stay silent, letting the results speak louder. And the world will quietly realize the nature of war has changed. Somewhere under the cold waters of Lake Onega lies what used to be a symbol of Russian naval pride. Now it's a warning, because if Ukraine can hit that far, what else can it reach? That question, the one every admiral in Moscow is asking tonight, may be Ukraine's greatest victory of all. And this wasn't even the most terrifying ship Russia has afloat. One vessel, older, deadlier, and far more dangerous, has just returned to service after nearly 3 decades. But it's not a comeback. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Russia's superweapon warship is a floating Chernobyl. Find out why in our next video. Remember to subscribe to The Military Show for weekly coverage of Ukraine's newest strikes, Russian military failures, and what it all means for global security.